Good afternoon. It's almost 3 o'clock on Monday, May the 11th. All the mothers out there, I hope you enjoyed a Mother's Day weekend here in Canada. You know, mothers get celebrated on the second Sunday of every May, and then in June, it's I think the third Sunday of every June, or it could be the second Sunday in June. I don't know. Anyway, we have a day dedicated to mothers, and I'm a mother, I'm a grandmother, I'm a great grandmother, so I got to spend it with my daughter and my daughter and my two granddaughters. Her my great granddaughter is away in Alberta right now on a holiday, but so I didn't get to see her, but I got to spend it with all my girls, and I have a son who has a lovely wife, and she got to spend it with her kids and her family. So everybody, I hope you enjoyed. Celebrate mums, celebrate dads. It's important. They are important in a culture like Canada. Unfortunately, parents don't have rights, according to one MP during the Justin Trudeau administration, and they said there's no such thing as parental rights. Well, I hope you're not a country that's so overcome by the evil that the Liberals represent in Canada. Every one of them, including a lot of Democrats that threw in with the Liberals under Jackie Boy, I call him, Jackmeet Singh, another very evil Palestinian guy. Well, he's not really Palestinian because I guess he might not have been elected as leader of the NDP party, but really, criminals can be elected into our politics here in Canada easily. Yeah, because most of these people that have been working in Canada in government, I suspect, are all evil criminals. All well, with the exception of a few conservative MPs, I'm hoping and praying, and the crazy lady. Well, forgive me, darling, but you're a little brain damaged if you really think that the Earth, Mother Earth, and the Green Party is the answer to anything other than you've been successfully brainwashed into believing that the governments that are calling themselves net zero people have any regard for our climate. You've lost, you've jumped the ship of reality, darling, because these green people that are using climate to control, enslave, impoverish, starve the lesser people of the world. You know, eliminate the middle class first, of course, but then starve to death the rest, those of us who are left behind. Of course, they've got a pandemic coming again. I think they're going to try to use hantavirus. Or they're going to, Legionnaires is making an ugly appearance. Instead of maybe taking care of the air conditioning units, they're going to poison people, probably again on cruise ships. You know, you're a pretty captive audience if you've got genetically modified mice all over the place, infecting people with the hantavirus, especially if it's a genetically modified hantavirus that was engineered to pass from mouse to human and from human to human. I'm just wondering, Bill Gates, are you going to find your use for that patch? You know, people are more likely to take a patch on the skin than they would be an injection into the bloodstream. Now, after the failure of the bogus, artificially modified, genetically modified, DNA altering vaccine that you and your friends came up with, that we were forced, 95% of Canadians were forced into taking in order to be able to live in this society of Canada. I didn't take one, neither did my son, but guess what? We were imprisoned. I'm not allowed, like, I'm on the back of the line now for any kind of medical care, really. Fortunately, speaking out has helped me at least get some diagnostics for what's going on with me. And I do have my feeding tube. Keeps coming out. But before I die from the poisoning that I received in Gagetown, me and my sister and my brother, my mother and my father, all were poisoned, courtesy of the Government of Canada. Thank you very much, Government of Canada, DND. And we have Mr. Carney. I guess you've absolved yourself of any responsibility from the criminal warlords that you're trying to recruit into the Canadian military that are going to be used against the people of Canada when the pandemic turns into a lockdown. Because you guys are running out of options, aren't you? Mr. Trump is putting a monkey wrench in all of your plans. So you are going to have to get dirty. Even China isn't saying, look, and they don't care. Like, they've got organs made to order in China. We in Canada, we're just too stupid to realize it. That's what MAID is really all about, isn't it? Eliminate the people, destroy the people, the otherwise healthy people, with despair, lack of health care, offer them MAID. But of course, because it's a planned execution, you can harvest some organs, right? Sell them on the open market. You don't have to do what China's doing, they say. Apparently, everybody in China, well, and all over the world that has Canadian-style socialized healthcare delivery, I suggest you don't go for that, Americans. Great Britain now it's legal to kill their citizens too. How many British-born people are going to receive real health care now that euthanasia is legal? I wonder. Yeah, it's so compassionate. What is it? What does MAID stand for? Again, it's medical assistance in dying. Euthanasia was a little bit too negative. I call it murder. 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 MAID is murder. What you can dress it up. You could call a lump of shit a rose, but it's not going to smell like one. Murder is murder. When you kill people who are sick and in despair and afraid and not treat their illnesses, rather than manage their pain, rather than give them hope if they are depressed, rather than giving them the assistance they require if they're disabled, that's murder. Murder. Plain and simple. And why is it that Euthanasia Prevention League takes money and they're not lobbying the government and making sure and using that money that they're getting donated for legal action against the government, the murdering government, Justin Trudeau's government, Carney's government? See, Justin Trudeau and Carney are the same. They're the same. Well, Carney might not be, the idiot child that Justin Trudeau was. I mean, let's face it. Drama teacher. I don't think you need a lot of gray matter for that kind of a education. And that's the best he could do education-wise. That's what he became, a part-time drama teacher. And then he became Prime Minister of Canada. Because, well, he's pretty. He was pretty, and he was going to get all the young people to get their pot legally. Right? And of course, first thing he did, though, was make it legal to kill Canadians. That was job number one. He knows how to do as he's told, don't you, Justin? You know how until I guess maybe you had some problem with processing the information you were being told to do, and that's why you had to prorogue the government. But let's face it, this guy named Beck, he's an American commentator, and he was talking about how, for some reason, Carney now is proven to be a liar and a criminal con man and breaking and violator of laws because he's doing insider trading as the Prime Minister of Canada for his companies, acting on behalf of Brookfield Management rather than the people of Canada. But of course, the morons who believed, oh, he was a banker? What kind of... Do you realize I was a banker too? Do you know what I was told as a banker? The biggest criminals are the people that got away with most theft in banks are bankers. Bankers. They know how to do it. And Toronto Dominion. Do you think Toronto Dominion Bank is the only bank that launders money for all of their masters? No. Debanking people? We used to have laws in Canada against doing that. Kearney, you pig. Anyway, the hantavirus. You know that one. They said a bunch of genetically altered mice. I think, that's my theory, genetically altered mice, because let's face it, COVID was manufactured.
Call from Marky.
Manufactured in a Wuhan lab. Mr. Fauci, you know that, right? But you've got your immunity from prosecution for your complicity in that little fiasco that was deliberately set upon the world because they were running out of options, right? Trump was definitely going to be reelected in 2020. Nobody was going to volunteer. Only really brainwashed, stupid people were going to elect Biden. Let's be honest. What was it, 40 years? He's accomplished nothing. Made a lot of money. Did a lot of inside trading deals, I think. I think it can be proven. You know, his son, poor guy. You know, he was used all of his life, wasn't he? I mean, wasn't he a great piece of propaganda when he got in that horrible accident that killed his mother? And he ended up being a drug addict, going to the Ukraine, you know, making sure that the right people got paid all that money that was going to the Ukraine before and after the war started. Now all the people that were responsible for creating that war by, you know, trying to antagonize Russia, well, they, you know, nothing's working now for them. And midterms don't look like they're going to go their way. So they're going to have to go back to plan A. Plandemic. Hantavirus? I don't think so, people. Now, Canada's lost. You know, whatever that hantavirus is that's got all those people. Isn't it interesting? Hantavirus on a cruise ship. You talk about captive audience. You're in a cruise ship full of mice with possibly, just a theory I have, with a lot of genetically altered hantavirus injected into them from somebody. Because, you know, the people that will start these wars, Ukrainian war, for example, Iraq war, Afghanistan war, Syrian war, Iranian war, Libyan war. That was, you know, the Clintons, Miss Clinton, baby and Obama. You're such a slimeball. You people are so amoral. Yeah, well, there isn't. What is there anything left in you people that is human? Do you really not have any kind of conscience at all? Really? You set that virus out to kill people on a freaking cruise ship? If it's true, so that you could scare the world into being willing to be locked down again, so you guys can do whatever backdoor deals you can. You can propagandize the world again. Have people willingly to put on one of Mr. Gates' patches on their skin that'll poison them, and also turn them into QR code readable population, where you can't go anywhere unless you show your QR code that you're allowed to do that. I mean, that's a lot easier than having people voluntarily take an injection in their arm and download an app on their phone, right? You can keep track of people if every person's body's got a QR code attached to it in the form of, well, you're not allowed to leave the house because you're not protected and you don't want to kill grandma. Well, meanwhile, no, you're like the grandchildren and the children don't get to kill grandma and papa in nursing homes. No, that's the government that got to do that with their injections and their lack of medical care. They were stacked, like I said once, when I had the misfortune of going to my local emergency room during the COVID pandemic. Bullshit. And they had the elderly stacked in the ambulance bay, wall to wall, lined up, not getting inside the hospital. They were in the ambulance bay. Were they getting treatment? I don't think so. I got to stay in the ambulance bay for just a minute. I had something going on with my heart. It was 2020. Christmas time. 2020. Just when the world was getting so afraid of a virus that was basically a genetically modified cold virus. Everybody knows you can't cure the common cold. And it just runs its course. And I didn't get my vaccine. And I only got COVID once. Why did the vaccine that was supposed to save grandma and papa not only didn't do that, but it also sterilized a lot of people. It also caused a lot of myocarditis and a lot of cancers. Now, Canadians are not allowed to know that because the information Canadians are allowed to receive is over their televisions, because Canadians are brainwashed into believing anything on the internet. Don't go there. Don't go on the internet to find your information. Don't use your brain and your critical thinking skills to discern what's going on. We've been brainwashed since the CRTC here in Canada was initiated, and I think that was in the 40s or the 50s. It's only these people, people like me, redheads, maybe. I wasn't. Well, I'm mousy now, but I used to be a redhead. People with a brain, and people who like to ask the question, why? Well, do you think it's an accident that cruise ship, and I guarantee somebody's got to catch one of those mice. If you're on the cruise ship now still, catch one of those mice. Yeah, you're probably infected with the hantavirus, and it does kill. They learned that back in the 90s. That one's been looked at in these labs all over the world. Once they discovered hantavirus, it's kind of like that Zika virus that created a resistance to having babies in South America because of mosquitoes. I saw Matt Walsh was reporting a few, maybe it was as long as 6 months or more ago, about them discovering that they're doing work with ticks. That Lyme disease. So they've got lots of avenues to try to kill off lots of population. And they learned their lesson with the COVID manufactured disease, that they gotta up their game. make it a little bit more deadly. But the people of the world don't succumb. There's worse things than death. You know what's worse than being dead? Watching being mastered and controlled by evil people that want to use you and your children. That's worse than being dead. Because death isn't the end, it's the beginning to people who believe. But when you go along and do as you're told, when evil people are telling you to do something with your own body and the bodies of your children that is unproven, don't do it again. Don't do it again. Nobody knows what those children that were forced to take that bogus, genetically altered, DNA altering experiment that was a COVID vaccination. There's no telling what's going to happen to those children that were injected with that nonsense. I'm going to pause.